I appreciate the organizers for organizing this important sideline event on the women's rights and development. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a fact that women play as important a role as any man in the development of a nation. The International Conference on Population and Development in 1994, the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action in 1995, the World Summit on Sustainable Development in 2002, and the 2005 World Summit all acknowledged the pivotal and important role the woman plays in sustainable development. The development in the last 50 years of the principles that comprise human rights law has a major impact on international humanitarian laws and indeed on international law. In more recent years, the movement for recognition of equal rights of women has been exerting its own influence on human rights law. In 1979, for example, the international community adopted the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, CDH, to which 155 states are now party. Consideration is currently being given to the adoption of an optional protocol that will allow for individual or group complaints to be brought before CDH committee. Governmental and non-governmental organizations have increasingly focused on women's human rights. Human suffering in today's world occurs, however, in situation of armed conflicts, where to a large extent human rights are in evidence. Here I would like to discuss one particular situation wherein sufferings of Kashmiris at the hands of the Indian Army and the paramilitary forces. Women in Indian-occupied Kashmir has fallen a prey to grave human rights situations. Kashmiri woman in capacity of a mother, wife, sister and daughter has suffered a lot at the hands of the security forces because of the ongoing struggle of the Kashmiris for a right to self-determination. The occupation forces use rape and other inhuman treatment to women as an instrument of terror and to make the people into submission. Over 9,000 women have been subject to rape and molestation. These are the reported figures, and the hundreds of others are unreported, either because of the state's repression or due to social stigma associated with it. Those who came out to report neither received justice because of the militarized justice system in Kashmir. It started from Kunanposhpora, a village in the North Kashmir, on 23rd February 1991, wherein 53 women of all ages were gang raped, but none of the perpetrators were brought to justice. Same happened in the rape and the murder case of Asha and Nilofer of the Shopayam, who were murdered after gang rape by the CRPF personnel. But no one was tried in any court of law. How this all? Because of the draconian laws like Armed Forces Special Powers Act, the Jammu and Kashmir Public Safety Act, and other acts framed in the Indian Parliament. It provides total impunity to the military persons against any prosecution or suit. The 1993 Vienna Declaration and Program of Action adopted by the United Nations and World Conference on Human Rights confirmed that violations of the human rights of women in situation of armed conflicts are violation of the fundamental principles of the human rights and humanitarian law, and that they require particularly effective response. The program of action also stressed that the equal status of women and the human rights of women should be integrated into the mainstream of the United Nations system and form an integral part of the United Nations human rights activities. After years on the infringement of the human rights, the topic of women and the human rights is nowadays gaining increasing respect as a separate area of concern within the mainstream of the international law. It is essential that the governments globally understand that the woman can play a great role in the democratic future of their countries. We cannot afford to underestimate or neglect the role of women in building a sustainable future for the coming generation. There is a need that women be more empowered in all frontiers and be actively involved in governmental structures so that sustainable development becomes easy to achieve. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Naqshbandi, and answers and discussion. Mr. Naqshbandi in his deliberation mentioned CEDA and then situation in armed conflict. He discussed the situation in Jammu and Kashmir. He also discussed how women are used as weapon of war, how rape is used against the women as weapon of war, because women are the most vulnerable group of the society, and often in armed conflicts they are being exploited, and these violations are sometimes directly and sometimes indirectly to pressurize their families, their husbands, their daughter, their sons not to participate in any mass movements. So my next speaker is Ms. Sadani Melanine. She is member of CORCAS, representative of OCAPROCE International in Morocco. She is a woman activist, and I request her for her deliberation on the subject.
Sustainable society. Women's rights around the world is an important indicator to understand global well-being. Major global women's rights treaty was ratified by majority of the world's nations a few decades ago. Yet despite many successes in empowering women, numerous issues ranging from the cultural and political to the economic issues still exist in all areas of life. For example, women often work more than men, yet they are paid less. Gender discrimination affects girls and women throughout their lifetime. In South Asia, India is one of the largest countries, fastest growing economy, and claiming to be the largest democratic state. When its economy and well-being is analyzed on the ground level, the whole of its economy and success stories are found shining in only 4 of its states: Delhi, Mumbai, Calcutta and Bangalore. While women's rights in India starts from the racial discrimination based on caste system, Dalit women are among the worst sufferers of social, cultural, political and economic exploitation, injustice, oppression and violence. They are mainly employed in unorganized sector of the Indian economy as daily wages and marginal workers. The lack of employment opportunities, limited skills and literacy has made their mobility extremely limited and prevent them from achieving independent status. In conflict areas, it's a major issue. Women is subject to violation directly and indirectly. Directly when they get raped, molested, kidnapped and tortured to kill. Indirectly when husband, parents and kids are subject to violence or extrajudicial killing. In India, major conflict zones is northeast India and Jammu and Kashmir state. Here I will focus on Jammu and Kashmir state, where according to reports documented by local and international NGOs, 27,000 women lost their husbands and the figure of orphan is more than 100,000. Directly, these women have faced worse kind of inhuman, degrading treatment from Indian security forces. Kananposhpora incident is one of the examples of worst kind of inhuman treatment, where Raster Rifle Regiment is in one night they raped 53 women from age 5 to 80. Even identification of a security personnel could not be prosecuted because of the Armed Force Special Power Act that gives impunity to forces. As a result, they can't be prosecuted in any court of law. Ladies and gentlemen, you may have heard about the issue of mass graves. European Parliament, British Parliament have passed resolution for an independent and credible investigation of this issue. The local organizations and international human rights organizations like Amnesty International, Human Rights Commission on Jammu and Kashmir have also demanded for forensic testing of the remains. But Indian state is not ready to cooperate in investigation. This issue is very much related with the women of Jammu and Kashmir, because out of 8,000 disappearances, 27 were married and 2,700 were married, and their wives wait for them every morning and every night. They assume the title of half widows and half wives. They just want to know whereabouts of their loved ones. If this forensic testing of remains is done, perhaps majority of half widows would know about fate of their husbands and would be able to start a new life. Finally, I request you all to support Kashmiri Half Widow campaign for independent and credible investigation. Without peace, no development on this planet. Thank you all.
Related with the disappearances issue, and as she said that European Parliament passed a resolution on independent credible investigation, but the Indian authorities are not cooperating. Our last speaker today is Mr. Francois Schmidt. He is representative of OMAEP to the United Nations office in Geneva. I request Mr. Schmidt for his deliberation on the subject.